Hello, and welcome back to Diecast Graveyard. It's great for you all to join me today, and I truly appreciate you. Today we've got a restoration of a Hot Wheels Thunderbird. Now this car I have a very high emotional attachment to them. I absolutely love the old Thunderbirds, and they were really prominent cars when I was a kid. And I had many of these as Hot Wheels, and it's going to be a lot of fun to restore this for you. So sit back, grab your favorite adult beverage, and join in today as we restore this Hot Wheels custom Thunderbird. Let's go ahead and get started with today's build.
It's time to start the autopsy.
I've already drilled out the post, so let's go ahead and take the car apart. This part I like to call the autopsy since you're examining everything. Here's your base. It's in pretty good shape, but it needs some polishing up, and we'll definitely have to replace those wheels. That's looking pretty good. Here's the interior. That's in great shape. Here's the windshield. I think we can polish that and make it look good. It does have a crack in the back, but I'll see if I have a replacement. If not, this one will work just fine. Maybe replace it at a later date. And here's the body. Overall, it's in great shape. The hood isn't broken. The pins aren't broken. Everything is looking really good. And like I said, I've already got the post drilled out. Yeah, that's a great thing when the hood opens without the pins snapping. That's good stuff. Looking good. I'm really excited about this build. Let's move on.
Someone is being exhumed.
Here we've got the base, and we're going to put it in a mixture of lime away and water, a 50-50 mixture. Now you can use lime away, you can use CLR, etc. They're all pretty much the same. Now I wouldn't put it in there for more than 3 minutes. You have to look at it to make sure that it's not in there too long. If you leave it in too long, it will definitely turn your base black, and you don't want to do that. So after it's sat for the 3 minutes and you've looked at it, get a wire brush and scrub it down. There we go, so you can see it a little bit better. I like to use a brass brush. If you use a steel one, it's really going to scratch up your metal, so be careful with that. Just make sure you're wearing your proper PPE. While you're at it, hit the subscribe button, hit that like button. That's what really motivates me to get some videos out for you. And hitting that like button definitely helps me in the YouTube rankings. So go ahead and do that. Make sure you share these videos with your friends, and we'll have a bunch of fun together. This is looking pretty good. Now once you get it done with the lime away and water, make sure you get it underneath soap and water and rinse it and scrub it down to get rid of all that chemical. You definitely don't want to get that on your skin. We'll have to polish it up.
Meanwhile, back in the graveyard.
I'm trying to pop off these wheels. Some of them are coming off okay, but some of them are a little bit tough. So we're going to have to cut those off. I try to take them off if I can. Make sure you place both your thumbs on either side of the wheel and put even pressure on that to take the tire off. Okay, see how the axle there, the wheel, the bearing is stretching? You don't want to take the chance of popping that off. So this is a wheel that's going to have to be cut off. These cars are over 50 years old, folks, so you definitely don't want to push the issue here. Get you some snippers. I got these at Harbor Freight. They're very reasonably priced. They're like $3. and don't force anything. Like I said, these cars are like 50 years old, so you want to protect them. Now, some people give me a hard time. They go, why are you restoring these? You're ruining the value and like that. You know what? My opinion, if you've got a car and it's in the plastic and it's never been opened, it's valuable. If it's all nicked up and scraped up and like that, yeah, there are some cars that are extremely rare, but they're there to enjoy. Now, I like to restore these because I like to have nice-looking cars in my collection, but that's just me. We got some replacement wheels here. I got these from the Redline shop. And yes, the Redline shop is open, okay? So if you need some stuff, some of that wonderful Spectre Flame paint, go to the Redline shop. Have John send you what you need. You won't be sorry. It's a great product, and he gets the stuff out to you fast. Make sure you use your little tool here. Get these wheels on properly. Let's move on. Okay, now we're going to strip the paint off this car. Now, normally I like to have the screws in the post. Here I didn't do that, but putting the screws in the post prevents the citrus strip from getting in there. Now, in the past, I have done it just like this, and I put the screws in, and it started squirting out the little citrus strip that was left in the post, and some of the paint from around there started to peel. This is something to be very aware of, okay, guys? We'll let that set for a while and get that old paint off there. It should come off pretty easy. But that's looking really good. Let's move on. Once we got the car out of the citrus strip and we cleaned it up using a degreaser, I like to use the Zep degreaser. I'm painting this car with aqua. I love that color. It's my favorite color between this and the light blue, the Windex blue. I love these colors. Make sure you're putting on a very, very light coat. Only mist coats, okay, at this point. You want to build it up. Once you get the mist coat on, let it set for about 10 or 15 minutes. Any paint you have left in your gun is going to be just fine. I love that color. That's my favorite. Let's let it set. Let it set for about 15 minutes. Now we're going to give it a second coat. And again, you want to build up mist coats. And then once that's done, you're going to give it one good saturation coat. Now, you don't want it so wet that it's going to run. But you're just going to have to trust your judgment and learn. Now, I will say that when you're using these Spectre Flame paints or any of the other kinds of paints like the Candy 2.0, etc., the more coats you put on, the darker the color is going to get because you're putting layer upon layer upon layer, and it's going to show, okay? It's going to make it harder to see through. Like if you were holding up a Jolly Rancher candy and then you held one in front of it and then you held another one in front of that. Think of it that way. But once you get to the color you want, go ahead and leave it, put it in the cabinet, let it dry. I recommend you let it dry at least 8 hours or overnight. That looks really, really nice. We let it set overnight. Now we're going to put we're going to do the roof, and we're going to do it in vinyl black. Now you can get that paint also from the Redline shop. Now the vinyl black paint, you can use it right out of the bottle. Just shake it up really good. You don't mix any hardener with it or anything like that. Just use the paint right out of the bottle and only use a little tiny bit because that's all you're going to use. Use a little pipette or something, put it right directly into the cup of your airbrush and spray that. Now here we are, we're taping off all the area for the roof that we want to paint. Now you have to make sure that the inside of the car is covered also. And I'll show you what I mean here in just a second. And make sure your tape is pushed down properly. Here I've covered up the tape. I've covered up the car with the tape, and I also got the tape on the inside of the car. You don't want to, if you're spraying the roof with a different color, it'll go through the holes in the windows and it can get underneath and it could spray the inside of your hood and your doors and like that. So you want to make sure that it's covered up really good and the paint that you're spraying isn't going to get through. Okay? Trust me on this one, all right? Make sure you cover it so the paint doesn't get through the holes and it'll do a really good job. Now, when you go to put this vinyl paint on, put it on very, very lightly. It will dry as you paint. And there's today's tip from your Uncle Paulie. Now that we've got it all taped off, I'm using this Black Magic vinyl paint that I got from the Redline shop. And like I said, folks, the Redline shop is open. It was closed for a while. They had some issues with their website, etc., but they're all back up and running full speed. So make sure you give John a good check out there at the Redline shop. They got some great products there, and you're going to love it. So like I said, you use this straight out of the bottle, and you're going to spray it, and it's going to look really great. Now here we go with the airbrush, okay? And you're putting very, very light coats on there. It also gives you a texture, too. You don't need to put a whole bunch on there. Let that set for a minute, and we'll put more coats on. And here's all of our pieces. Here's the base, all polished up and ready to go. We colored in the tail lights, etc. Here's the interior. Here's the glass polished up. And here's the body. Let's put it all together and give our creation life.
Lies! Lies! Do you hear me? Give my creation life!
And this is what we started with. This Hot Wheels Custom T-Bird. One of the original Sweet 16. We took it apart, we evaluated what we had, we did the autopsy. We cleaned up the base, we put on brand new wheels. Again, make sure that you don't stretch the axle or pull that bearing off the end, etc. Just be careful with that. Strip it down, polish it up, clean it up with degreaser, and get it ready for paint. Make sure that you're using the Spectre Flame paint from the Redline shop. It's a great product, and it'll make your car look incredible. But this is the car we started with, and like I said, I had a lot of these cars when I was a kid, and I absolutely love them, and I still got a bunch to this day. And that's why I got into this hobby, because I love these cars. And here's the finished product. Look how beautiful this car turned out. Now, I did notice once I got it on the rotisserie that the windshield is kind of sagging a little bit in the back, but I went back in and fixed it. But I also replaced the windshield that had that crack in there. But look how beautiful that turned out. Look at the vinyl roof and how it was taped off and how beautiful and textured that looks. Take your time. And as I say always, folks, you can do this too. Get yourself some main lines from Walmart or Dollar General or whatever. Practice on those. And then once you get to where you're very confident, then you can start to tackle these red lines. Because the posts are different, they're a lot smaller, they're a lot harder to drill out, and you want to make sure your skills are down before you get any of these old cars and start to drill on them, etc., and ruin them, which is really tough. I've got a whole bunch of videos in the how-to section, etc., and if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. I read every single one, I promise. So make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you got anything out of this video. I truly appreciate you folks, and now that I've got a new job and my life is looking a heck of a lot better, I got a lot more hours, you're going to see a lot more videos and me catching up with stuff that I owe folks also. Thank you for joining me today on Diecast Graveyard. We'll see you again. Make sure you share it with your friends. Cheers.